So today we're working on our recycled kitchen jar and old Christmas napkin that you happen to have around, and we're going to turn them into these beautiful candle holders or lights. And these are really simple to make and really inexpensive, so they're great for anybody's budget. So let's get started. For this project, we're going to use a recycled kitchen jar. Pickle jar, spaghetti jar, anything like that. That's what makes this so wonderful. But just in case you don't have one like that, you could always go to one of your dollar stores or Dollar Tree and buy a glass candle holder and do that. Your rim would just be a little bit different. And how many of us have napkins that we have just a couple left over from Christmas, but we don't have enough to use again? So that's what's really fun about this project. You also can go and buy your napkins, and they're usually rather inexpensive. There are a couple things I will tell you to look out for. Like on this little guy, I found a design that would fit on him, but these napkins, I did pick these up at Walmart, aren't covered all the way through. So I really had to adjust and watch for that. And I ended up using 2 of these napkins to wrap around my jar. So, and you have to adjust your height. But this little snowman guy, I love. And he's printed all the way through. So the first thing I'm going to kind of do is make sure that his design does not run into each other. And I am good. We're going to have one start where one ends. And I'm really going to probably go up height-wise and trim some of this red off. And we'll talk about another option as well instead of our napkins, because some people find them a little bit harder to use and they can be a little bit more fragile. I'll talk about that in just one second. You'll see what I'm referring to here. Just a little bit of that. I'm going to trim this edge, but I may have to use a little bit of the red where we meet up. So we'll kind of look at that. I'm going to trim that red off all the way on there, just in case I don't have to. And I'm going to pull this up, and what I do is I always line it up with the bottom of the jar. So now I've got the base. I want to kind of see where my top would be. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the napkin all the way across on top as well. So most of these napkins have 2 layers, and if you separate them, it makes your one layer a lot flimsier. But if you put both layers on, it's thicker and it's harder to see if you decide to put a candle in the middle. And it kind of gets puffy. Now that's okay, there's nothing wrong with it. What I do is I let my Mod Podge dry some, and then I come with my brush and really push it down again, and then it makes a lot of that puffiness go away. So that's going to be up to you. If you want to use a candle, you can. If do maybe 1 layer, if not you could do 2. Another option is tissue paper. Tissue paper like this kind is very nice and see-through, and yet it is really pretty durable. So that's another option. You could even cut out the little guys on your napkin. You could even use some from Christmas cards and then put the tissue paper on and then Mod Podge those on top. So you've got some different options. So I'm going to get my napkin pulled apart here, and then I'm going to come in and I'm going to use my Mod Podge to do the whole jar. And so it's nice and wet, and just the regular Mod Podge, depending on what, if you want matte, satin, gloss, that's a personal opinion, and it's up to you. And after we get that all on, we'll start applying our little guys. So I've got a nice thick coat all the way around. And so what I do is I line it up with the bottom of my napkin onto the jar and move it around like that, and that works the best for me. So however you kind of feel that you can get that on. And we want it to keep this as nice and straight as we can. Don't worry about your lid part. We're going to cover that up. You can use whatever method. You could even put a bow up there. However you kind of feel. I'm going to pull that off just a second. I've got a little wrinkle in my snowman itself. So I want to keep that kind of unwrinkled if possible. You can always come in with your brush and straighten that part out too. And you can usually work your wrinkles out, or at least into a section where you don't care about them showing as much. Now, before I put this all the way down, I've got enough that that's going to cover. So I'm going to get rid of my line there. But you don't ever want to cut yourself short. Cut that as straight as you can. You don't want to overlap it much more than about 1/4 of an inch. So I'm going to kind of just press them on with my hands. And my lid, we're going to have a few little bends, but we're going to cover that all up. And I have a couple little edges that seem higher. I'll just trim those down. So, once we kind of have our seams and everything kind of out, we're going to come in and we're going to apply one more layer of Mod Podge. And I'm going to hit underneath this seam because I don't have it on there, and I'm going to do one more layer, get it nice and sealed, get that all on, and then we're going to add a little bit of holiday spirit to it. Same with the little part up here. Sometimes you may have to come underneath those to get those edges at the bottom. Okay, we've got that all with one more coat, and I'm going to come in with glitter because everything's better with glitter, right? Well, it's still wet, and apply this so that it will stick, and then we will let it dry. You can do more than one type of glitter. You may even want, where it's two-tone, you may want a different type of glitter at the top than you put at the bottom. There is no right or wrong to that. And if you decide that you wanted to do one more layer of the Mod Podge over the top to help keep the glitter in place, you can do that as well. Once our glitter's all dry, we're going to talk about maybe adding some other little elements to it as well. I finished them all up. I've got the glitter all on. I did do a different type up on there and down here. Another thing that would really be cute on this is some textured snow. I thought that would be fun. You can do all kinds of fun things to add to this a little bit. Like on this guy, I added rhinestones and I glued those on with my E6000. Even if they have the self-sticking ones, go ahead and put a little bit of E6000 behind them. But there's all kinds of fun snowflakes that you can find. That look in the confetti area, as well as like stickable snowflakes. And I'm going to come back and put these on with E6000, but right now I'm just going to stick these kind of here and there. And another thing I would suggest, I'm probably going to come back and put a rhinestone in there. You could even put a blue rhinestone in there. The snowflakes look so much better if you layer them. I'm really big into layering, so that's something I want you to kind of think about. And we could even put some different things in here. If you had a bow, you might want to put it on top, or a little holly. You could use some puffy paints and bring some areas to life. But I really, really love this little pattern with the snowman. I think that's really cute. So we're going to go ahead and finish his rim. And there's different things you can use on the rim. This one was just some Christmas garland that I used, and that kind of really went with that. I thought that was really cute. You can use like the Christmas fun fur. And even though it's not really big enough, just keep wrapping it until you get that thick enough that you really like it. You also could do more than one color, and you can do that with your garland too. You could put a couple layers on it or put a different layer on top. I save my garlands from stuff that I'm pulling apart and using for something different. So we've got all these fun things. Another thing that I'm going to be using on this one is my boa. You can pick up the boas. Now this guy is lower, so you could use a bigger feather, and like a guy that would hang down, you could trim him back. I picked those up at the dollar store. Or like a little fluffy feather one. And at Christmas time they have kind of feather pieces that you can pick up in the craft area at the Christmas section. So that's something to think about. And I'm just going to take him, scooch the feathers down so I don't cut them off. And we're going to go ahead and trim him. I really like this look. I think it just kind of gives it a fun snowy feel. I'm going to go ahead and glue this on with my hot glue gun because I am on the paper, not the glass. And I did trim any of that hung over. And I'm going to attach this right where my seam is so I don't pick up any or end it where it's kind of not going to be seen as much. And I'm going to trim that a little bit later. You also can add fun things even on your rim. I might come and put some hollies in there. I think that would be really cute as well. So there's just all kinds of fun things. Now see, because I put that there, I want to move him down there. So that's something to think about. On this little jar, I am going to put a candle holder on, and I'm going to set it on top, and then you could put a bow on the bottom, a red bow, and kind of make that real festive. I'm going to use again my E6000 straight on there, let it dry a day. What I kind of do when I'm doing those is I flip them over and just make sure that that is nice and even while it's dried, and that way it doesn't have a tendency to fall over. But my favorite thing this year is our fairy lights. They're so bright because they do use 3 AA batteries, not triple. And they are on wire, so they're very bendable, so you can use them with all kinds of projects. So we have them in the white, the red. Look how it's glittering back there on my poinsettia. Green and multicolored. And so look how awesome that would be. So that's really, really cool. So get those at miriamjoy.com. And we are basically done with our little guy. I also did these for different holidays, and I put handles on some of them. For the Christmas ones, I didn't want to do that as much. Another really thing that would be really cute up here is a little poinsettia flower. So that's something to think about. Just make him your own and add your own touch to it. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you have lots of ideas of things that you can use and how you can decorate them and just make it your own. Come on over to miriamjoy.com and pick up our little wonderful fairy lights to add so much more to your project as well. And as always, if you ever have a question about a project, please email me at art@miriamjoy.com. Have a Merry Christmas.